to say it, but the truth about the NICU is that it's a very scary place. No matter how many YouTube videos you watch, how many things you Google, how much the doctors and the nurses try to educate you, nothing will ever truly and fully prepare you for the NICU. When you see your baby hooked up to monitors and wires and things are beeping away. Kingsley spent a total of 26 days in the NICU, Soren spent 54, and then Soren also spent another 39 days in the general pediatric surgery wing of the Alberta Children's Hospital while we were waiting for his final surgeries to happen. It was so much harder for me because we had 2 babies, and I really resented the fact that, they spent 7 months growing together and getting to know each other while they were inside of me, and then when they were delivered, they were separated immediately. Even when they were whisked away into the NICU, their beds weren't ever beside each other. Only after Kingsley came home, he finally got to see Soren again when we went to go visit him at the Children's Hospital. So it was hard when we had both babies in 2 different hospitals. I went some days without seeing one baby. It was really draining on me. The NICU is very much a day-to-day sort of thing. Each day has its own sets of challenges and obstacles to overcome. It's not easy, no matter how many people are there to help. It's just, you have to be strong. There will be moments where you will break down and think the worst, because that's happened to me so many times when I was in the NICU. Being with my babies, touching them, talking to them, wanting to cuddle with them when I couldn't.
I'm doing so good. That's a major difference from yesterday too.
If you can come out of that whole experience, you're very much a changed person. It's an extremely, extremely difficult thing if you go through the NICU experience. And I hope that you have someone you can lean on, someone that's very supportive of you. If it's not your partner, I hope it's a friend or family member, someone that you can, just fall on and show your vulnerabilities so that you can be strong again. I dreaded phone calls from the hospital because anytime they called, it was never good news. I remember the first phone call, I was still in the hospital after the C-section, and Soren had just been transferred to the Alberta Children's Hospital that morning. So it was 10 o'clock at night. My sister and I were in the NICU. I was doing skin to skin with Kingsley when the nurses were approaching us and saying we needed to rush over to the Children's Hospital right away and be with Soren.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying oil. $100 or whatever. No, the homemade oil. It's like castor oil and good oil.
That was the first phone call that we got from them. And the ones that came afterwards weren't any better. Other calls included baby having Brady episodes where his heart rate slowed down and he needed oxygen to get back to where he needed to be. Baby given the wrong dosage of medicine. Baby needing emergency surgery because something didn't go properly. Things like that. Anytime the hospital called, it was never good news. It was always something happened and this is why. One lesson that I've learned, and that if you are to be a NICU parent and you have the luxury, unlike in my situation, if you have the luxury to spend as much time as you can with your baby in the NICU, please do so. You need to advocate for your babies. You need to be their voice. That was one thing that, looking back in hindsight, I wish I had done more of. I wish I could have been with the babies, both of them, the entire time. I feel like I could have voiced my opinion a little more. I know the doctors and nurses, as medical professionals, I do place my trust on them to take care of my baby and to do what's best for them. But I feel in some aspects, in some certain instances, they could have handled things a little bit better. Soren's incision kept on getting infected and he had to have antibiotics. They were originally given to him through an IV, and the original IV they had put in didn't hold. And that one night we went to visit him, they were attempting to put in a fresh IV. The nurses, seeing them holding your baby, he's scared, he's frightened, he's crying, he's in pain. They're holding him down. They're trying to poke him in so many different places. He's bleeding. You trust that, the nurses can do their job properly. And of course you don't want to interfere with that. But having me see them poke him maybe 3 different times, his hands, both hands, his feet, and then they attempted one on his head, so they had to shave the part of his head and then attempt poking him in there. None of it worked. That was maybe 3 or 4 times. I wish I would have said something and, said maybe twice was enough. Because having your baby poked 3-4 times, bleeding and crying because he's scared and in pain, you don't want that. You don't ever want to see that. It really hurts you. They eventually decided to call the doctor and ask if they could give him the antibiotics orally. And the doctors agreed to that. So that moment, I wish I would have been more of a mother. Sorry. It's always really hard when I think back on that kind of stuff. Doctors and nurses, they're not invincible themselves. They make mistakes. They're humans. But, you being as a parent, it's one of your jobs to, protect your babies as much as you can. So if at any time you feel like something could be done differently and better, say something. That's one of the things I really regret not doing. In the end, though, in my particular situation, things couldn't have turned out better for what it was. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. Some people aren't as lucky as we are, aren't as fortunate. So I'm really thankful for that. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think that. I'm really thankful that they're both here and they both got to come home. And I hope that for any NICU parent out there, the same will apply to you.
Hi. So cute.